What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in. Welcome to my training vlog. We're at August 2021 in Brisbane. It's still a bit cold. With my training, I've finished all of the powerlifting meets for this year. So my coach Arif and I have recalibrated my goals. I'm now focusing on still preserving and increasing as much strength as possible, but rather than powerlifting competition prep, I am now focusing more on aesthetic goals. In preparation for the rest of the year, Brisbane usually warms up in summer quite a lot. I like to bring a leaner physique, and my challenge to myself right now is to try and go as strong as I can, preserve as much muscle and build as much muscle as I can while staying lean. So today, it's day 3 in my workout. We're about to start going to 4 or 5 days next week or the week after. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. In between sets, in between exercises, I'm gonna be sharing some thoughts about training and mindset with training and results. Let's do this. I've completed all my big lifts for this week. Squats done, bench done, deadlifts done. Today I'm gonna be powering through some other main lifts, and I'm changing my mindset around thinking of today's exercises as main lifts rather than accessories, because now there's less of a powerlifting competition focus and more of an aesthetic focus. So I'm about to hit my program's on here. I promise I'm not on TikTok. Single arm tricep extensions. I've got 4 sets on there. And then I'm gonna be getting into some cable flies, supersetted with a Bulgarian split squat. I've got lat pull down, underhand grip, cable seated row, rear delt flies on an incline bench, barbell bicep curls, and dumbbell hammer curls. And then there's a bit of leg rehab stuff that I'm doing in there as well. Let's do this. I've lost track of how many sets and reps I've done, so I'll do one more. Scratch that off camera, bro. Edit. Lost balance. One thing that I've been thinking about a lot in the last couple of months is it's fascinating how our motivation to exercise or our consistency with exercise peaks around summertime. So in Australia, December, January, February, especially after New Year's resolutions or January 1st, a lot of members of the community are super motivated and ready to improve their health and fitness. So exercise adherence and consistency is a lot higher summertime in Brisbane. We're wearing lighter clothing, we're spending more time outdoors, we're more conscious of our physique or our current physical conditioning. Winter time, which is where we're at now, it's fascinating how a lot of us lose consistency, lose exercise adherence, lose motivation, because it's easier to get comfy in hoodies, trackies, comfort food, staying warm. It's not as bright in the morning, you name it, a bunch of different reasons. So I've been thinking about this a lot, and the behind the scenes mindset planning of what we can do to help us make sure that we're getting the best results all year round, as opposed to an intensive bit of training or exercise around summertime and then missing out on a lot of results, or missing out on bringing the physique or transformation that we could bring. Fascinating thoughts. The problem with inconsistency and doing a really good job with training sometimes a year and then taking 2 months off, 3 months off, sometimes even 4 or 5 months off, is we never really achieve a proper transformation that we're happy with. A transformation of fat loss, transformation of muscle, a transformation of looking good, feeling good, or it could even be injury recovery or health management. It is a problem. I don't have all the answers. I don't know what the solution is. I think us creating awareness around the fact that it is a problem, and being aware that as we approach winter or middle of winter, end of winter, we all do whatever we can do to build healthy movement habits or consistency tricks, maybe reserving it into the calendar. There's lots of different options, but I think this step one is being aware that we all run the risk of dipping and losing consistency different times of year. If we want proper results, a proper improvement in our fat levels, a proper improvement in our health levels, proper improvement in our physique levels, we have to work on this all year round. When we fail, to work on it all year round. We do a half-assed job in a last-ditch effort sort of attempt right at the end of the year. So I know a lot of members of our community and friends and family, and you guys will know friends like this as well, where, you know, come just before summer, they're gonna try and do a 4-week intensive or 6-week shred, or you name it. It's nowhere near as effective as chipping away all year round, getting more results, and then ultimately being happier with progress. So on my program today, I've got 4 sets of cable flies, but 3 sets of the Bulgarian. So this will be the last round. Second thing I'd like to chat about is what we can do to help us with consistency. The more that I explore this, experiment and work on this, the more I'm realizing how important goal setting is. So what are our reasons for wanting these improvements that we're chasing? What are our goals? But not general sort of blanket statements like I want to get fitter or I want to look better. We need to dig deeper into what that looks like, why it's important, and through this experiment or through that goal setting, we can figure out how bad we want it and what it actually means to us. For example, our goals could be performance-based with our life outside of gym. It could be something like, I want to get fitter for my kids so that I have more energy with my loved ones. Or it could be something like, I want to look better because it's important for my self-confidence, my self-esteem, or my performance at work. There's 101 different ways to do this, but if we skip this step and just go into an exercise program, it is far more dangerous for us when peaks of different peaks throughout the year, or levels or months of the year where motivation is lower or stress is higher or we're busier or it's colder outside or crappy weather. If we don't have that good anchor to our goals, I think it's harder for us to stay consistent. So I'd encourage everybody to really dig deep with your goal setting, what you're trying to achieve, why you're trying to achieve it, why it's important to you, and then that sets up a more bulletproof anchor which will help with consistency and ultimately will end up with more results. Let's see what's next. Cable flies, 4 sets of 10, done. Writing in my program as we go along. 4 sets of 10 done. 15 kilos, tough weight. Bulgarians, done. Okay, lat pull down is next, or cable seated row, close grip, 54.5. 54.5, 4 sets of 10. Cool. Figuring out exactly what our goals are will make a difference with consistency, and more importantly, with periods where we're experiencing high psychological stress or pain, or busy period with work, busy period with family. Insert problem here. Whatever we're managing over here, it'll be a heck of a lot easier for us to stay exercising or stay training if our anchor is solid. If that anchor is crap, then any one of these things will get in the way, we'll lose focus, we will lose consistency, we will lose motivation, and ultimately we lose results. We gain fat, we start to feel less happy, we start to perform worse at work, we perform less at home, and it flows on. So we've figured out our anchor, we've figured out exactly what our goals are. The next step has to be figuring out what sort of exercise program will get us there. There's no right or wrong way of doing this, but structuring an exercise program specifically for goals is very important. For example, earlier on this year when I was doing powerlifting competitions, my training and my focus has to be specific for powerlifting. Now that my goals are more aesthetics and looks focused, my training now has to take a more aesthetic physique style program as opposed to powerlifting performance. You can apply this yourself depending on what your goals are. It could be performance based, it could be fat loss based, it could be health or injury management based. It doesn't matter, but just make sure that those two line up. Make sure that you're doing a program that's specific for what your goals are. If you need help with this, there's lots of content online. You just have to find a credible source, or any one of the team here at ZAR Athletica would be happy to help and figure out that whether what you're doing for training and exercise lines up with what your goals are. If it doesn't line up, then you'll probably still get results, but not as effective, not as many results as you would if that stuff was lining up. Different options of training. You've got one bucket, which is, now there's 1,000,001 buckets, but one bucket is resistance training or strength training or weights. That's one. A different bucket would be cardio training or fitness type stuff, or insert exercise here. This could be things like cycling, walking, running, swimming, boxing. You name it, that's in the cardio bucket. In a different bucket over here, you might have more flexibility or stability style training like yoga, Pilates, other movement-based activities. So depending on what your goals are, you can control how much of each bucket you do. And there's lots of different options within these buckets. So you could do it by yourself, at home, you could do it by yourself in a gym, you could do it in a group setting, and then there's no right or wrong way of doing it. It's just a matter of picking what's best for your goals. I like examples. Let's say you're not doing any exercise. You're about to start your exercise journey and you want to get results, you want to get fat loss, but you hate strength training. The thought of lifting weights makes you feel uneasy, stressed, anxious. If you're starting your journey with strength training, then you're fighting a hard battle in the beginning. Now, I'm not saying strength training or resistance training is ineffective, but if you absolutely hate it and you're doing zero, then you're better off picking an activity or some training that is more enjoyable in the short term. And as you get fitter, as you get stronger, as you get more comfortable with doing exercise every week, you can then experiment with strength training or resistance training. It doesn't mean that you have to do it straight away, because you might enjoy walking or running or cycling or other ways of expanding energy. So and especially if we haven't done any exercise for a year or 2 or 5 years, it would make sense to pick an activity that you enjoy more, build up a tolerance, get going, build some healthy movement habits, and then progress to other forms of exercise. If you're really good with exercise and you are an exercise person, you can pick all 3 buckets. You can go cardio, you can go strength, you can go flexibility and mobility. It won't hurt. Hope that helps. I'm gonna do one more set just in case. I've lost count. I reckon we'll fit in one more drill. Once we've figured out what type of exercise we want to start with, the biggest mistake we all make is we go too hard too soon. And I mean this with how many days we're expecting from ourselves. So a lot of us set the bar at, oh man, I'm serious, I need to get shredded for summer. I need to be in the gym 5 days a week, 6 days a week, 7 days a week. And the reality is, for a lot of us, that is unsustainable in the beginning. It doesn't mean you'll never be at a level where you can do 5 days a week in the gym. But in the first 3 months, whilst we're building the habits, if we're setting the bar at 5 or 6 days a week, we will feel a lot of pressure on ourselves, we will feel overwhelmed, and we will be setting ourselves up for failure because it's too much too soon. Set the bar at 2 to 3 days per week in the first 4 or 6 weeks, and then as you get comfortable, as you build up better movement habits, then you can experiment with increasing the days per week from 2 to 3 or 3 to 4 or 4 to 5. We need to start thinking long game. Forget about 4-week interventions, forget about 6-week boot camps or going hard in the paint for 8 weeks. Think long game, think months, think 2 months, 3 months, think 6 months, think 12 months, and I promise you, you will start to get more results than you've ever had before. Quick summary for my thoughts today. Step 1, losing consistency is dangerous because we stand to lose a lot of hard-earned results. And in a week off training, 2 weeks off, 3 weeks off training, month off training, we lose a lot of gains. We lose a lot of cardiovascular fitness, we lose a lot of strength. So it's very disappointing, frustrating, and annoying when we come back into a program and go, man, we're gonna have to rebuild hard to bring us back to where we were. So step 1, we need to start thinking about doing whatever we can to preserve consistency throughout the year. Doesn't matter whether we're on holidays, doesn't matter whether it's Easter break, Christmas break, or time away from training. We need to do the best that we can. And instead of getting to the gym, maybe it's home workouts. Instead of home workouts, maybe it's bare minimum 5 or 10 or 15-minute workouts to keep us going. That consistency will help. Step number 2 is picking the right type of exercise for what our goals are. Whether that's cardio, strength, Pilates, yoga, etc. If you're starting out, start with something that's enjoyable and sustainable. Step number 3 is that anchor of goal setting. The stronger our goal setting is, the clearer the more clear our focus is on what we're doing and why we're doing it, the easier it will be for us to sustain in times of stress, psychological stress, or in times of pain, injuries, in times of lots on at work, in times of I don't have enough time to fit in my exercise. Thank you guys for joining in. If you've enjoyed this video, click the subscribe button, hit the bell, share some thoughts. I always like to get involved with the community and hear what you guys think. Thank you so much.